The United States of America is the brainchild of our founding fathers. This is not a date on the calendar. This is a celebration of our independence. Hi, I'm Mr. Jack, and we're going on a journey. I'm good.
Are you good?
I'm good.
How's everything tasting?
This is just so good.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah, and it's kind of just a morning I could get away, and I thought I'm just going to come down here and sit outside and enjoy the morning. This is just perfect.
Okay, good.
Couldn't be any better. Thank you.
Awesome.
This country just means a lot to me. I guess the other thing I've been thinking about is I'd like to find the soul of America. When the ideas came together, and I had someone recently say, well, this country is founded on diversity, and I don't believe that. I believe the country was founded on unity. The founding documents, and I really need to go back and read them, just thinking, this country was founded on unity. I'd like to go back and see those original ideas that started this country. So I think about the soul of America. The soul came about because of life. And the soul of people's souls are precious. The soul of America is precious. I don't want it to die. So what's going to happen to our country? For years we valued families. For years we valued God. We valued the Bible. For years, for decades. America, don't change. July the 4th, a date on the calendar, a date that every country in the world has. But for us, it's different. Why? Why do we celebrate on July 4th? Well, I recently uncovered parts of a letter that John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail. I want to read to you what he wrote about this day. And of this day, this is what he wrote to his wife Abigail. This day will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God. He put God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to another. From this time forward, forevermore. A few hundred years before he wrote that, pilgrims longing for freedom had risked everything to find a place where they could worship God without religious persecution. And when they placed their feet on this strange new soil, something wonderful happened. A new country was conceived. It would gestate for hundreds of years in the minds and the hearts and the souls of thousands of people. And it would even survive an attempt by the King of England to abort its birth. Let me tell you some things that were noted in the Declaration of Independence, some things that our founding fathers thought important for us to remember. They wrote that the king was guilty of taking away the rights of the local governors, that the King of England demanded that we give up our right of representation in the legislature. He took measures to prevent access to public records. How frustrating trying to run businesses in a country and no access to public records that were maintained only for the king. He repeatedly dissolved the local representative houses. He took away their right to vote. He stopped legal immigration into the country. He shut down the courts. He told judges, if you want to keep your jobs and keep your salaries, you'll do just exactly as I tell you to do. He opened government offices everywhere, and he filled those offices with non-elected bureaucrats. They were there just to harass the public and to take what they could get. He put standing armies around the country and gave them permission to do as they pleased, to mete out justice as they pleased, with no action in the courts. He cut off foreign trade. He imposed taxes without consent. He deprived us of trial by jury. He deported those who opposed him. He plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, destroyed the lives of the people. And you know what? He created havoc by causing division among the various groups. He perpetuated domestic insurrection. Is it any wonder that our forefathers decided a change was necessary? Our founding fathers constantly petitioned the king for changes, and was only met with further injustice and more insults. So in 1776, the time had come and the birth of this new nation could wait no longer. It was ripe, ready to go. So let me read part of the Declaration of Independence to you. I'm going to abridge it somewhat. I'll leave some parts out, but the parts that I'm going to read are verbatim. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it's the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness. I'll skip a few paragraphs. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from allegiance to the British Crown. They closed with this: and for support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That was no idle pledge. There were 56 men who signed this. 9 died of wounds during the Revolutionary War. 5 were captured or imprisoned. Their wives and children were killed, jailed, mistreated, left destitute and penniless. 17 of them had their homes burned to the ground, and everything that they owned went with it. This isn't a date. July 4th is not what we celebrate, folks. It's Independence Day. It's these brave men and women who what was it? Pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. As I read through the documents, the founding documents, I'm pleasantly surprised that reference to the Almighty is in there quite a few times. Providence, God. The things that are being wiped out from our society today are the very things that inspired these men, gave them the confidence, the faith to fight for freedom, not just for their families, but for the millions who lived there, the millions who would come after them. I am an American, so pleased to be here. Well, folks, I just read to you the reasons why we celebrate Independence Day. U.S. Air Force, Korea, 1931 to 2018. Says on here he was a beloved granddaddy. Charles Wayne Allen, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, 1942, 2006. Frederick Paget, Army, born in 1932, went to Korea, died in 2017.